Hello, and welcome to Totally Schway, a podcast about the DCAU and whatever the hell else I want it to be about. My name's Mary,
My name is Luke.
and today I don't think you have any news.
No, I mean, I suppose there is a little tiny piece of DC related news with the Superman trailer coming out, but everybody's already watched that by now, so
Can we talk about it for a moment?
you can talk about it for a moment, yeah.
I have one thing
Go.
crypto.
Yeah. You let out an undignified shriek when you saw him in that
It was
trailer.
completely dignified, thank you very much. I have always wanted a serious adaptation of Crypto the Superdog, and I think James Gunn, is that who it is?
Mhm.
Not Tim Gunn, but that would be a good,
Gunn Superman.
yeah, that would be a good Superman. But James Gunn, I think he will do a good Crypto. I think. And if he doesn't, I will just keep wanting one. But I am so flippin' excited.
Apparently, this crypto is based on his real world dog, whose name I forget, who is mischievous.
We love mischief, mischief in this household.
Sometimes depends.
We absolutely love mischief because we have one cat named Gilgamesh who is the most mischievous cat I've ever had,
Hmm.
and then two angels, Apollo and Thor. By the way, Thor is not named after the comic book character, if anybody was ever wondering. Um, should we get into the topic of today's episode?
Yes, we should. It's our Christmas special, isn't it? Our second
Yeah.
Christmas special, I suppose.
So today we're going to talk about comfort and joy. I know, I know. We have spoken about this before.
Briefly.
Yes, but I want to go more in depth because it's such a good episode. It's one of my favorites. Um, despite it not having Batman or Wonder Woman in it.
Oh, I know, I know.
But it just goes to show that those characters don't have to be in every episode for it to be a really great episode.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that makes it stand out from the other episodes is that it's a singular episode. Almost all of the other stories were two-parters.
Or three-parters.
Yes, and well, that's the reason why this one is just a one-off, is because Starcrossed, the next story, was a three-part series finale. So, they had one episode left. And this one, the thing I love about it is there's no real villains in it. There's not like any horrible scheme that anyone's trying to foil.
Oh, it's refreshing, isn't it?
It's just like this is literally what the heroes get up to on their Christmas break. The episode opens with them saving a planet.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the name of the planet off the top of my head.
With cute little critters.
Yes, yeah, the two planets were going to collide, and the Justice League spent their time building a machine that would prevent the two from ever hitting each other, saving the lives of the millions of creatures living there. Um, and again, that's a very different kind of threat because most of the time it's like somebody bad is coming along and is trying to
Mm-hmm.
do something terrible. But this is just, I suppose you would call it a natural disaster that they are reverting.
Mm,
Uh,
yeah.
so it's just completely different in terms of
And then the one villain that is in it is actually shows kindness.
yes, yeah, and he hasn't got some like terrible scheme. It's just he's a bit of an art snob, and he's angry about a modern art exhibit, and he tries to destroy it because he doesn't view it as legitimate art. Which he's basically being a snob.
Yeah. Which it's okay to be a snob sometimes about certain things. I know I am about purification systems like fans. I like Dyson fans and I like Philips lights. If I see any other lights, I'm like, hmm. Obviously, I'm joking, but
Partially.
yeah, partially. But I guess it could be about art as well because there's just some art that I don't like. It's not that I hate it, it's just I don't like it.
Hmm.
So I guess we can all have a little snob in us.
I suppose so. Did we mention who the villain was?
No, I was waiting for you.
That's the Ultra Humanite. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was waiting for you the whole time to say it.
Yeah, and the funny thing about Ultra Humanite is he's supposed to represent, the peak of humanity, but he's a massive gorilla. He's obviously he's had his brain transferred into the body of this massive white gorilla.
Who voices him?
It is Ian Buchanan.
Doing his best Kelsey Grammer.
Yes, yeah, I mean, yeah. How much better would this episode have been if instead of the Ultra Humanite, it was actually Fraser Crane
Yeah.
running around?
Oh my god, that would be
Curse you,
wonderful.
Flash!
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
I love that. But Ian Buchanan did a brilliant job as the Ultra Humanite.
Yeah, yeah, I liked how they never really go into like his origins in the show. He just exists. But at the end of the episode, you get a little hint at it when the Flash, to thank Ultra Humanite for
Yeah.
making the orphans' Christmas so special, he gets him a little aluminium Christmas tree, keep in his cell.
And a little light display as well.
Yes, yeah, and it's tacky and awful. And he apologizes, saying, "Like, I know this is tacky, but," he goes, "No, no, no, it's fine. We had one of these when I was," and he was going to say, "a child,"
Mm-hmm.
which tells us that perhaps he came from impoverished upbringing,
Yeah.
or not necessarily poor, but maybe just more humble.
Were those tin trees popular in the UK at all? Or do you
Mm,
know?
I mean, yeah, you'd see them in like the 70s and the 80s, but they were kind of tacky and not very good. I know there's going to be someone chiming in going, "I've got one up in my house right now and it's wonderful." You do
I
you.
never had one. I think it was a little before my time. Or my grandparents just always had the green fake Christmas tree because
Hmm.
someone was allergic to it, the real ones.
Hmm.
Um, but I know of them being quite popular around a certain era.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't see them very often now.
No.
I think they're kind of in a really was it kitsch type of way. It's kind of cute, but it's not my style.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, so fair. Is there any more you wanted to say about Ultra Humanite?
not really. Um, I like that character. If I don't I want to say it's a villain, but in some ways, Ultra Humanite, some of the things that they say make sense. So I'm just like,
Yeah, I'll tell you
do you know what I
actually,
mean?
Ultra Humanite was actually the very first comic book supervillain. But he was a bald scientist back in Superman. If I'm remembering rightly, and I might be mixing up some stories here, so someone will correct me, but the first Ultra Humanite was investigated by Clark Kent
Ooh.
because he was a slum landlord
Mm.
and he was like renting out substandard housing to people,
Ugh.
which tells you like this is like the standard of supervillainy at the start. It's not like destroying the world, but it's just like you're not treating people fairly. You're a villain. It's
Those
funny
are,
how our standards have changed so much now, haven't they?
yeah.
But I seem to recall he escaped from Superman at the end of that issue in a rocket.
Oh,
So,
wonderful.
like a rocket riding landlord, slumlord, I should say.
I want to see this panel. We paused for one moment and I saw the panel.
Yeah, sorry, it wasn't a rocket, it was an aeroplane. And he wasn't just like a slum landlord. He had a number of corrupt businesses that were all
Yes.
funding his criminal empire. And he
Yes.
escaped from Superman in a plane. Just like Superman comes in, "You're committing insurance fraud! To the plane!"
To the plane. That's what I'm gonna do every time I get moody or something. I'm gonna be like, to the plane.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, at some point they reimagined him as an evil genius that transferred his mind into a superpowered ape,
Mm.
which is where he's at in the show.
Mm.
But yeah,
Very very different from the show. I would say. Um, from that first appearance.
oh yeah,
That was Action Comics 13
it was.
that you said it was, yeah.
Yes,
Um, but yeah, rather than just being like a bit of a snob, he was kind of like a bad guy, like a super bad guy.
yeah.
But yeah,
Um, okay, so if we're done talking about Ultra Humanite, why don't we consult your notes and we can see what you found interesting to talk about?
Hot Girl and Green Lantern go to third moon of Goltus.
Yeah, I guess so. This episode is primarily about what the heroes do in their downtime after a big successful mission.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the Flash goes to an orphanage and tries to get them the Christmas present they want, which is that DJ rubber ducky.
Yeah.
Green Lantern and Hawkgirl essentially go on a date to celebrate Thanagarian style,
Mm-hmm.
but they have a very different idea of what a celebration is.
Yeah. Hot Girl definitely has a different idea than what I would have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like violence. I love Hot Girl though.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like violence. But she does. But it's like a fun type of like friendly fight. Because at the end of it, they're all just like asleep and just with happy faces.
Yes, yes, but it is basically a drunken bar fight.
Yeah, essentially it's a yeah. Can't relate because I don't go to bars.
Or get into fistfights.
No, no.
Not anymore.
Other than with myself trying to like put a t-shirt on or something. I'm like, no. um yeah, I love this part of the Green Lantern Hot Girl relationship. I just love so much. It is so nice to see, and it's nice to look back on before uh Justice League Unlimited.
Yes, yeah, it's kind of sweet, isn't it? That you can
Yeah.
see that they are of two different worlds, both literally and I suppose psychologically as well.
Hmm.
They have very different ideas of what is fun
Yeah.
and how to spend time enjoying themselves. And it's not like Green Lantern is like some prudish, sheltered person. He's a former Marine. He's been and he's a Green Lantern. They fight all the time.
Hmm.
But he didn't particularly care for I forget the name of the beverage that
Flurg.
is it
A
Flurg?
flurb. Flurg, a
Flurb?
flurb.
It's a froob.
Yeah, something like that. It had little wormies in it.
Froobs are like a little squeezable yogurt over here, or at least they were at some point in
I
time.
have no idea.
That's not what they were called in the show. I was just making a
Yeah.
joke.
Oh, okay.
But Green Lantern did not like it, did he?
No, you didn't.
But Hawkgirl just wolfed it down and let out a colossal belch.
Yeah. Yeah. That not ladylike, but what is ladylike now? What is ladylike anyway? I don't particularly like that term.
No.
No.
Mm.
Because I was told when I was younger, like if I burped or something. By the way, I have an older brother that doesn't do stuff like that for some reason. Like he's very uh he doesn't do stuff like that in front of people. But I grew up with an older brother and just mainly like my grandpa and stuff like that. So I didn't know what ladylike was.
Hmm.
But when I was at school or something, they'd be like, you can't do that. Like when I picked up a mouse once. They were like, that's not ladylike. I'm like, well, neither is your like horrific Mariah Carey screams
Yeah.
for a mouse.
Yeah, I've never understood why people were deathly afraid of mice. They're just these little tiny things.
And when they bite you, it's not that bad. It's the fact that as long as you've got like your shots and stuff. I- We totally sidelined there.
Yeah, kind of lost track. So anyway, we were talking about Hawkgirl and Green Lantern, and it's funny though because everyone in the bar fight is having fun, apart from Green Lantern,
Mm-hmm.
and I suppose the guy who had his hand smashed by Hawkgirl's mace.
Mm-hmm.
But by the end of it, they're all cuddling and sleeping, aren't they?
Yeah, that's cute. You know my favorite. I think you know my favorite portion of this. My favorite segment of this, other than the Flash segment, I do like, but the Martian Manhunter and Clark's. And I say Clark's, not it's just
Ah, yeah.
not Clark, the Kents, excuse me, not the Clarks. Um, Martian Manhunter and the Kents segment is definitely my favorite.
Yeah, it's kind of funny seeing Superman acting like a
Childlike.
yeah, he's acting very childlike. He's the best joke in this whole episode is where he's holding up the Christmas presents and he goes, "Ugh,
Lead.
lead," because the Kents have wrapped the presents in lead-lined paper, which can't be healthy. And I wonder how they get that. Do you have to order that specially? I bet you do. Um,
Or they're just lead boxes.
maybe it's a lead box. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. They just reuse it every year.
Oh no, I think my second favorite part of this is when Dad's like, I'm gonna Clark, come on, I'm gonna light up the Christmas tree, and Clark is all of a sudden just like, no, that's my job, and he starts.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Yeah, it's
it.
very funny. And Superman says to the Martian Manhunter that this is why he likes coming back home so that he can be himself. He doesn't
Hmm.
have to be Superman. He can be, Clark Kent, the son of Jonathan and Martha. He doesn't have the responsibilities. He doesn't have the weight of the world on his shoulders. He's just someone that's excited about Christmas.
Yeah, and Martian Manhunter's journey kind of reaches a, and despite this being like a really happy, jolly episode, in my opinion, it the Martian Manhunter storyline really reaches a turning point in this because you realize that he is alone and he does miss his family and he will never have what the Kents have or anything like that. So he needs to make it something like that rather than just like he's starting to embrace his new life. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I think in this series he had initially struggled a few times. Um, I think it was in Tabula Rasa. That's the one with Amazo, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um, he opens his mind up to everyone while he's looking for. I think he was looking for Lex Luthor,
Hmm.
and he can hear everyone's thoughts, and he's really focused on the negative side of it because everybody has negative thoughts all the time. Like we all think, "Grr, I hate this, I hate that, I want to kill this, I want to kill that, rah rah rah."
Right.
But it's not like a serious like plan of action. It's just a negative thought that comes into your mind before your rational voice kicks in and goes, "Come on, that's an overreaction. Don't be silly. No, you're not going to do that."
Can't relate to that.
Maybe that's just me
Yeah.
then.
Don't know what this overreaction is. I've never had an overreaction in my life.
So he heads off into the wilderness at that point, and then he kind of stumbles across a group of people looking for a lost girl, and that kind of restores his faith in humanity because these people are out there. They're like, I don't even know this kid, but if my daughter was out here, then I would want people out here helping me. I would be out here searching all night.
Hmm.
Doesn't matter how cold it is, how dark it is. We're going to keep searching, and that kind of, as I said, restored his faith in humanity. And you see a little bit of that in this episode where he wanders into Smallville and just watches the people. It's kind of creepy in a way.
It's because of the cookies. Let's be honest.
Yeah, well, the cookie bit, that was a very funny scene as
Yeah.
well. The little girl that's upset that her brother told her Santa isn't real, so he pretends to be Santa and like walks across their roof
Hmm.
and eats the cookies, which are Oreos. And in the comic books, Martian Manhunter is dangerously addicted to Oreos. But just that little was very funny as well.
Yeah. Oh, and the ending of that particular segment with Streaky initially dislikes Martian Manhunter,
Hmm.
but when he was in his what I really love the fact that he's in his true form and Streaky is asleep on his lap
Yeah.
while he's singing.
Yes, because he spent the whole time as Martian
Yeah.
Manhunter, and then when he's in Smallville, he's in his human disguise or one of
Hmm.
his human
Yeah.
disguises. But it's having him sitting there in his Martian form indicates his comfort and joy,
Hmm.
hence the title.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a reference to A Christmas Carol as well. Um, but it's his comfort being within his own skin,
Hmm.
and he's relaxed and he's being himself. And because he's being himself, Streaky accepts him as well.
Hmm.
Streaky could probably sense that he was putting on a front, like, who is this deceptive green person?
Yeah. And I think as cat people, Luke and I, we can get that.
Yeah. Cats are very empathetic. They know what you're feeling. It's just they often don't care.
Oh, okay. So this really reminds me of my cat, um, my late cat, Isis. There was this thing, not this thing. It's quite a big thing in my life that happened. My grandfather died, when she was obviously when she was still alive, and Isis was not a very loving cat at first. She was very like standoffish because she was older and she had not had the best life as far as we know. And then when she came into to our lives, we gave her like everything she wanted and more. And then after a few years, she just became like our best friend.
She could still be quite mean and
Yeah,
aggressive at times, though. I've got scars on my ankles
yeah.
where she scratched me because I
Um,
wasn't feeding them quick enough.
and one of the sweetest times was when my grandfather died, which we were actually. packing to go see him because the next day we were flying out to see him and he passed. And I remember her just at my feet the entire night after I got off work. And she didn't want to get in my face or, get on my lap or anything like that because she knew I needed space, but not too much space. So she stayed at my feet all night long and she was just amazing. And that reminds me of Streaky.
Hmm.
Like when we need our cats, they're there for us.
Yes, I thought you were going to mention that time she brought you some food.
Oh, yeah, that was wonderful. Do you want to tell that
Yeah,
story?
so I forget at the time what the problem was, but Mary was visibly upset about
Yeah,
something.
I had an issue at work where I thought somebody was my friend, and then it proved that they were not my friend, and they were doing bad things at work, but they were trying to put the make a fake situation so the other situation wouldn't be
Hmm.
in the front line.
Hmm.
So I ended up. She wasn't actually my friend in the end, but I felt like I lost a good friend, and I was very very upset because I don't make friends easily. Um, and when I got home, I was crying, and I had bought these little sausage rolls and
Scotch
these,
eggs.
yes, sausage rolls and Scotch eggs, um, from the mall, and she brought me. I was crying, and I was there for like a couple of hours, and I guess she opened the package, and she brought me she went like "Rah, rah," in this weird way, and she had a Scotch egg in her mouth, and she was trying to give it to me.
Yeah, she put it at your feet and then sat there and looked at you like, now eat it. You're
Yeah,
like, I'm not going to eat that,
but it was
but thank you.
totally. Sorry, I brought up the. Actually, I'm not sorry because I love talking about Isis.
Hmm.
She was named after Catwoman's cat, by the way.
Hmm.
Um, it reminds Streaky really reminded me of Isis, and
Hmm.
it's nice to remember her.
So let's try and talk about something a bit more uplifting. Can we consult your notes to see if we've missed
I
anything?
wrote three
Yeah, you
notes.
keep closing your notebook.
Yeah.
Martian Manhunter befriends the Clarks. The Clarks? Who are the
I know
Clarks?
I keep saying the Clarks when I meant to say the kids.
Yeah, and I thought it was sweet how they got him a Christmas jumper, and it's way too big for him, and he's like, "I will grow into it," and then turns into Dave Bautista all of
Yeah,
a sudden.
I love that. It's just the kids are what you dream of when you dream of parents or guardians or something. You're like, I want them so bad to be
they they are very wholesome, aren't they? Even
yeah.
even in their advanced age, they're washing the dishes and they give each other a little kiss while
Just
Superman tries to spy on the presents.
yeah.
Scumbag Superman, unbelievable behavior.
Whereas at night,
Where is the kryptonite?
what's different between us and the Kents is when Luke is loading the dishwasher at night. Usually he is swearing.
Yeah.
The dishwasher is weird.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I start swearing at the most mild inconvenience.
Mm,
You know, I'm like, I'm plotting my revenge. You
yes.
will rue this day.
It's literally,
Bosch home appliances.
and then it's literally the refrigerator. He had opened the refrigerator too much, and the dinging came on.
Yeah. Damn you, Samsung.
Oh, I forgot that was the brand of our
Yeah.
refrigerator.
Anyway, so anything else you want to add about this episode? It's a nice, wholesome Christmas special.
Yeah,
Um, do you like it more than the other Christmas episodes out there for the DC animated universe shows like Christmas with the Joker, Bullet for Bullock, etc., etc.?
I think so. Mainly because of the Martian Manhunter segment. It shows true growth.
Hmm.
And again, I will say this over and over again every time I speak about any of these shows. It's supposed to be a kid's show, but you really learn a lesson here. Being your true, authentic self, although it changes over time, at the end of the day, the best thing to do is just be you.
Hmm.
And the world can either love you, hate you, or be indifferent. But you yourself cannot fault yourself for being who you are
Hmm.
because it's most of the time it's not that bad. And also the Kens. And Streaky.
Yeah, Streaky. Big up Streaky.
So, shall we get to the comments?
Yes, we shall. And there are actually quite a few this time, so I'm going to try and get through them fairly quickly.
Mhm.
So first of all, we have Mandalorian Hunter 1, who says, one of the best BTAS episodes. I'm glad to be early to one of these. So this is a comment on our last episode about a bullet for Bullock. And yeah, that was a great episode. I agree. Next, we have Lowell Lucas Jr., who says, hey, today it's totally Schway. Christmas is coming, so deck the halls for a sleigh day. Happy snow day. Absolutely love Bullet for Bullock, a perfect noir-style episode that felt so much like a classic from the 40s. Absolutely love the jazz ensemble that really strokes the mood of this detective's life. It's simply brilliant. Apparently, Harvey Cohen won an Emmy for that soundtrack, so for Bullet for Bullock soundtrack.
I swear, the music in Batman the Animated Series in particular, like the original BTAS,
Yeah.
Just like Lil said, 1940s noir movie. Like, this could have been a live action.
Easy. Speaking of our unmade bed named Bullock, I'd say this is the cleanest iteration of our rough detective. Oh, by no means is he squeaky clean. I mean, have you seen The Apartment? But compared to his other iterations, the Batman's Bullock was a glory-hungry brute with a short temperament, while Cape Crusader's version gave us a comic-accurate dirty cop version. I don't remember Harvey Bullock being in the Batman, but admittedly, I've only watched like the whole thing twice in 20 years. I'll have to revisit that. Maybe either of you could do coverage on the iterations of Bullock. Maybe.
Ooh.
We love BTS Bullock the best. He's such a perfect Santa. He'll be glad to show kids his gun. Yes. That said, I just wanted to thank you both for the awesome content and well wishes. Hope you've enjoyed my jingles and your videos, Mary.
You don't understand. Those jingles are, I think about them more than I probably should, because they make me so incredibly happy. Like, it's not even funny. I'll be saying it to my cat Gilgamesh when I'm talking to him. I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. In a very 90s rap style, like non-sweary rap style.
Will Smith rap
Yes.
style.
Yes, Will Smith, that's perfect.
That said, oh no, I said that bit already, didn't I? I'm letting out my inner Etrigan when making them, as I love coming up with rhymes. Jingle, 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 I am old Kris Kringle.
Yeah.
Also, I love hearing about the chickens. Hope Wilma and Betty are good. I greatly appreciate it, you all, and wish everyone happy holidays. Lastly, pie time is sublime, but glazed donuts for life.
Oh, we got a chicken update, which was really cool. I just want to quickly
No,
mention.
I'm going to read it in a
Oh,
comment.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But we got an email from them, and I was like, oh,
Oh, did you?
yeah.
Okay.
I replied to it as well. I was like, ah.
I didn't get it, but you did, but it's fine.
Pictures of the chickens, and they were in the paper.
What had they done?
Don't worry.
They
Don't
robbed a
worry.
bank.
They didn't rob a bank.
Right, I'm moving on with the comments. So, Big Mikey P on his main account, the suspension is over. Michael Andre Parlon.
For now.
Let's see how long he can keep his nose clean. For news, Creature Commandos came out. There's a lot of PC gaming announcements lately, and then some international stuff I'm loath to mention in this comment. Oh, and I'm enjoying Project Wingman, Frontline 54 myself, and also finished a fast Super Dimensions Fortress Macross binge. Can agree among the Adam West Batsuits, as among the worst Batsuits felt wrong. With an episode title like that, one may have thought Deadshot would have gotten introduced in BTAS. Ironic that Bullock ended up using the bat signal here, considering what happened to his duplicate 28 episodes ago, production order by the way, in the Heart of Steel two-parter. Kids shows should accept ballistic firearms as they are. Laser plasmas are surprisingly more dangerous in hindsight. Besides, go ask the Japanese and how even kid-friendly anime like Pui Pui Molcar occasionally have threatening gun moments. Granted, they are at most not fired or actually BBs, but the threat is still there. 1042. Hence, David Banner and not Bruce Banner in live action The Incredible Hulk show. Reportedly, so not to be confused with Bruce Wayne, aka Batman. I had read that, I don't know if it was Bill Bixby or one of the other producers on the show, felt that Bruce was too soft a name. And they wanted something a bit more masculine, like David. And I'm like, well.
What? Bruce is.
I know.
What does a name have to do with your masculinity?
I know, and also, like, Bruce Banner's supposed to be the opposite of the Incredible Hulk, but anyway, doesn't matter when. This isn't an Incredible Hulk podcast, Mary. Come on, stop talking about him. I don't know why you brought him up.
I don't like the Hulk.
Brings into mind the second Sherlock Holmes novella, The Sign of Four, how the problems of drug trade and abuse need to be censored. As an aside, if there's something that needs to stay media demonized, there's communism and religious ultra-conservatism. No need to delve deep on Bullock X Gleason Mary. They've already moved on for good. Whether it's later Black Canary X Green Arrow is superior. Oh, excuse me. While the later Black Canary X Green Arrow is superior. Probation's too cheap if not lenient. Rehabilitation therapy is even too expensive if not too optimistic, at least to my morally cautious, resource-weary opinion. Gotta love jazz ensembles in appropriate fiction, particularly in the works like Cowboy Bebop, Bacano, and The Incredibles. Hope Bullock's landlord went back to his senses and moved somewhere saner. Heard Dakota City has real good, real estate, and an excellent to relievingly sound a bit hypocritical rehabilitation centre managed by one good man surnamed Hawkins. That was a very long sentence. No, no Super Sentai Power Rangers for now. Okay, fine. I do have a soft spot for the concept of Lost Galaxy, SPD, and RPM. Report the wayward commenter. Gaslight to the point of them getting an incurable mental breakdown if possible. I wish I don't remember discussing anything like this, but anyway.
But I want to know now. I
I
want
think
the
I
whole
think it was just
story.
like someone leaving ridiculous comments on one of my videos, which happens all the time now. I can always tell when I'm doing well because you attract the crackpots that come out. Like, no, I'm not gonna name them.
I'm gonna just go on a little tangent.
Yeah.
A little tangent. I am one of those people that I do not comment on something unless I like it. And that's just me. I don't feel like if I don't like something and it's really like distasteful or it's offensive, I block them. I don't leave a comment. I don't say, "Oh, I hate you. How dare you do this?" or anything like that. What I don't do is if I don't like something and they're not offensive and it's just, something I don't like, I don't watch it for one. And if I did accidentally watch it, or if it played on, just, when they keep playing that continuous play, you know what I do? Turn it off.
Mm.
I don't comment on it because at the end of the day, if you don't like something, you don't want to give them what is that thing where you comment on something
You
and
don't want to give them the attention.
yeah.
Yeah.
And when you comment on that, it'll make your algorithm want to show it more and stuff like that. And people that comment on Luke stuff, which by the way, not offensive at all, as you
No,
guys know.
most of them aren't. No, like 99% aren't.
And it's not mean in any way. Some people are just really rude.
Well, yes. Yeah, maybe I will mention a brief example. So there
You have
was
to say the name
no,
though.
I won't say their name, but they left a comment on my lockup video, accusing me of being a paedophile because I said that criminals should get rehabilitation rather than like beaten senseless.
And which had nothing to do with
No, no,
anything.
I basically just told him he was a dimwit
Hmm.
and then muted him. And I mean, I shouldn't respond to people, but to be honest, when you come across, I was going to swear then. I can't think of a nice way of saying it without swearing. When you come across that kind of stupidity
Hmm.
and really flawed logical thinking, you need to point it out to them, but you don't have to put up with their continued
Yeah.
presence.
And there's a difference between pointing something out and then just being a jerk. Like it's
Oh,
okay
I
to
can be a jerk
disagree
to
with
them as well.
somebody and give somebody criticism that might not be like the criticism you want.
Hmm.
But there is a difference between that, like constructive criticism, and then just being a jerk and like falsifying something. Because there's so many people that
Yes.
say the P word to people
Yes,
that,
yes.
and what pisses me off is the fact that it, it has absolutely nothing to do with what you're talking about.
No, it had nothing to do with it at all. He's just a moron,
Yeah.
frankly. And I do like to tell them
And
when they
next
are
time
being
you're just
morons.
gonna, you know what I'll do? If that ever happens to me, I will just give them. I will tag my GP in the post, and I will be like, "Let's get him."
They won't read his tomes though. They won't read it. He'll send a massive novel explaining why
I'll
they're
read it
completely wrong.
though. I'll read his what did you call it? Tome?
Tome,
Oh,
yes.
tome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say his novel
Yeah.
because I like Mikey P's novels.
Can I continue with it
Yeah,
then? Okay.
I just want to go on that little
So it
tangent.
says, sure, if Batman the Adventures continue as canon, then should the Star Wars sequel trilogy fit in the Legends continuity? Well, it depends on who the creative team are. if, let's say, George Lucas says that it is,
Sorry, what are
then
you talking
it
about?
is Star Wars. You
Who?
don't care. After all, Huntress's origins clash bad with her JLU origins as a counterpoint against BTAC being part of the DCAU. It didn't necessarily clash, it just added something extra to it. Admittedly, it is slightly different, but if Alan Burnett and Paul Dini say that this is in the continuity of the show, which they have, then it is. You just kind of have to squint past the stuff that doesn't quite fit very well. Kind of like Lex Luthor having his power armor in that first issue of BTAC when it's supposed to be before Justice League, when he got the power armor. But anyway, you could explain that away by saying that it was a prototype. Anyway, yes, the purple yamish filling called Ube is Ube. Yeah, I know. Stephen Universe featured it in one episode, if one's knowledgeable of that show. 3504. I'm really going on a tangent today. I need to just rein
You're
it in.
the same word over again. You're saying ube ube, but you had said something different.
I didn't say anything
I thought
different
you said
last time.
something
I didn't
different.
say Ubi or something like that. Anyway, of course, they aren't this Prime Canon's universe. They're similar universes, but with outer interference, changing things a little bit. Makekra sounds nearly like massacre. Oh, does it? And it's named after Carl Makek, purported mastermind of said localization and dub regional changes.
Dubstep.
Goodness. 4222 can agree that it's good and also can't wait for the hopefully polished compilations of Street Fighter Alpha plus 3 plus the SNK crossovers. They are just not the kind of games I really adore, which are titles like TIE Fighter, and now even X-Wing, Half-Life, Halo up to Wars and Reach, Batman Arkham, Monkey Island, Curse is underrated, Deus Ex Max Payne, 3 included, like it or not, Homeworld, -2 and 3, and then some. This should prove a counterpoint to 4238. I'm all about the Power Stone games and Rival Schools in the next Capcom collection. Absolutely going to play the hell out of them. 4253. Wait, what? Lucky. 4420. Don't fret. Tamara Calder is luckier than Justice League Unlimited's ace of the Royal Flush Gang. Pertaining to Lupus and Lupin, I blame autocorrect. Yeah, I'm certain it was. That wasn't sarcastic. That sounded sarcastic, but it wasn't intended. I'm surprised on how many folk here talk about Sailor Moon. No fellow love for subjectively superior Doremi, Sakura, and Tutu, though. Wish I can adore those Lego games a lot. They're decently good, just not fulfilling the hype to me when compared to what they have for their long-time fans. 5624, you're lucky. I'm still bitterly reeling from Neil Gaiman and Tara Strong. For all I care, my mind will be appeased when they pass away from this mortal coil. Ouch. Surprisingly, though, I don't feel the same about Michael Jackson, H.P. Lovecraft, and even Charles Dickens and Bram Stoker. They're of an infidelity kind. Look them up. Yes. Guess I wasn't that personally attuned to them as people then and now, thus successfully separating the art from the artist. Well, that's an astute observation there. That's when you have the personal connection that it's kind of hard to detach from it. But when you've got like an abstract connection to it, you can go, yeah, okay, H.P. Lovecraft was a daft racist and a complete lunatic, but that Cthulhu stuff was kind of cool. But anyway, moving on.
I have a hard time a lot of the time with taking the person out of the art, and it sucks. I wish I could do that. I'm trying, but I still cannot listen to MJ
No.
or read HP Lovecraft. Craft.
Yeah, Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, next comment is from SR Striker, who says, I wasn't sure. Was Bullock meant to be Batman's J. Jonah Jameson, as he just hates the hero with a passion, but is not a villain? Like the same for a few other characters, like Walter Peck from the Ghostbusters, for example. It was surprising that the villain of the episode is a Tim Burton's regular that wasn't in any of his Batman movies, Jeffrey Jones, who was in Beetlejuice, sort of in the sequel because of reasons. Ed Wood and Sleepy Hollow. Remember I said about Catwoman in Cape Crusader being another Tim Burton regular, Christina Ricci, who was never in the Batman movies, along with a few others, like the guy who voiced the Clue Master in 2004's series, who looked like Oogie Boogie in terms of design, as it was in concept art that was meant for the Riddler instead of a Marilyn Manson look. And I know I said Batman Resurrection novel that you won't buy. It says that the Riddler is in it, and also in the 89 Echoes comic, which he doesn't look like Jim Carrey or Robin Williams as we thought was the case. as he can play serious roles like Insomnia and 1 Hour Photo. Just a note on Batman Resurrection. I did buy a copy of the book actually after. Oh man, I've forgotten his name. This is embarrassing. He's the artist of the Batman '89 comics. He did an image for the Batman Resurrection book featuring their version of Clayface, and it was really cool. Very kind of sinister and spooky looking. And I thought, you know what? I'll buy the book just on the strength of that. And I haven't read it yet. It's sitting on my shelf with all the other stuff I've bought that I've not read or watched yet.
No comment.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to try and finish editing my latest video today. And then as soon as that's finished, I'm going to spend the rest of the day catching up on some reading. But anyway. Also, I guess you know about the world of Tim Burton music. Yeah, we've done a video about it.
Oh, it was so good.
Which I'll be going to. Oh, I didn't know you were in England. And I wonder, will you do the upcoming crossover with Batman and Beetlejuice as they both have cartoons that are based on Tim Burton's movies? I don't know about a Tim Burton Batman crossover. Tim Burton? Excuse me, Beetlejuice and Batman crossover. I don't know anything about it, so probably not. No.
I might, because I like those two. I love Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice is one of my favorite modern day movies, and I just love it. I haven't watched the cartoon completely yet though,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't watch a lot of cartoons when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I did play with Barbies,
Mm.
but my Barbies were always nightclub owners.
I can remember the Beetlejuice cartoon because I wanted to watch it, but there was a woman at my mum's church that persuaded her to not let me watch it because it was satanic.
Oh, really?
Yes, yes. So my mum was like, "You're not allowed to watch that. It's satanic." I'm like, it's just a cartoon." Like, no, you're not allowed to watch that.
My mom would have been like, uh, okay.
Yeah, I know, I know.
Like just because it was on Fox, wasn't it, or was it on
Uh,
Kids WB?
it was before either of those networks existed, so I don't know what network it was.
Yeah, but it was on one of those. My mom would have been like, "It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Sit down." She would have literally said that. She would like, "Sit down. It's not that bad."
Yes, yes. But anyway, moving on. So we have David Carney, who's hello, David Carney, who says, "Hi, Luke and Mary. Hope you both have had a good week. Been dealing with a toxic player in my online gaming group for the last week.
Loser.
Yeah, report
Toxic
them, block
people are
them, get rid of
losers.
them.
They take away the fun.
Really like this episode, from the style of the episode to the music, which stands out. One of my top 10 episodes. Hope you both have a great Christmas. You too, David. Thank you very much for
So that's
reaching
so
out."
good.
Next, we have A1ML33Y, Julia Raoul, who says, "As for Bullock, this is an episode I remember liking a lot as a kid. It was very funny to see Bullock come up with Batman and his deceased junkie apartment. I always find that stuff hilarious."
That's a
Yeah.
perfect way to describe
Yeah,
it.
you did expect to find like a corpse in there.
Yeah. There still might be. There's time. You know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Um, Search for terrible DC video games. Do you all remember the Aquaman game for PS2, or the crappy Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern game, or Justice League Task Force for the Super Nintendo and the Sega? Now, out of those three, I played Justice League Task Force, and I thought it was okay. It was only okay. It was just like a beat 'em up like Street Fighter, but very slow and sluggish.
So what were they?
I said beat 'em up, so it was a fighting game. It was Aquaman on the PS2. I
Yep.
didn't play that because it looked
I
bad.
did play the PS2.
Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern game. Do you know what? I think I bought it on
What are you
Xbox,
talking
but I
about?
didn't buy it. I didn't play it.
Don't know what you're talking about.
And Justice League Task Force on the Sega.
Who's Ryan Reynolds?
Hmm. Oh, and in 1997, Batman and Robin game for the PlayStation. I played that one as well, and I remember being blown away by how big the city was, but it was clunky as hell.
I didn't even know they made a Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern video game, and I didn't play the PS2. But what was the last one?
Justice League Task Force.
I don't remember playing that.
No.
I'm sure. What system was it on?
It would have been on a Super Nintendo, or for you, a Genesis, but for me, it was Mega Drive.
I probably saw my brother play it at some point in time, but I don't remember playing it myself.
To continue the comment, that I think there has been an autocorrect, an amusing autocorrect change here, where it says, "Martin Luther King, have you ever played on Batman Dark Tomorrow for Xbox and GameCube?" Don't. The game is dog poop. And I assume you weren't really speaking to Martin Luther King.
But if you were, I mean, yeah.
Dr. King, I've got an important question. I'm summoning
Yeah.
you from the world beyond. Have you played Batman Dark Tomorrow on the GameCube?
We love Dr. King in this household.
Like DCS had a lot of losses and seems seems like DC's had a lot of losses, and seems like the Arkham games are the only thing that are like their wins, along with the Lego games. But I can't find a good Justice League game to save my life. That's why when you mentioned it in Justice League, Injustice, excuse me, that's why I remember playing 2, and I hated it based off the way the characters would look like armor on top of armor, and Superman being an evil dictator jerk, and Wonder Woman being a murderer who killed Steve Trevor. And I read a little bit of those Injustice comics, and I don't like him. I can completely understand that, but they were very well made games, and they were quite good fun to play, I think, anyway. I just feel like the reason I like Marvel and Capcom is because at the end of the day, they don't ruin the character like the devs over at NetherRealm does with the DC characters. As far as the Absolute line goes, I'm still on the fence about Absolute Wonder Woman. Absolute Superman looks good, and somehow, so far, he hasn't snapped a neck yet, so I might give it a chance. But I think Absolute Batman is too violent, and the only reason I'm not reading mainline Batman is because they killed Alfred, and I just haven't thought about coming around and wanting to read that whole run or even read anything new right now. I also have a question, Luke and Mary. Have you both seen Creature Commandos yet? Because I'm still a bit skeptical on that, whether it's going to be any good or not. I don't know. Is it good or as good as X-Men 97, or should I just not even look at it? So we haven't watched it yet. We're going to. I can't remember specifically why we decided we were going to hold off watching it and haven't been watching it in weekly form as it's been released.
Do you know why? Because I don't like watching it in weekly form.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think we'll probably catch up when it's finished, or maybe watch a little bit over Christmas, see how we like it.
Mhm.
I've heard lots of good things. Most people listening to this show will probably have opinions on it as well, so feel free to share them.
Yeah, it might be a flip side episode one day.
Maybe.
But yeah, I am not uh a fan at the moment anyway. I'm not a fan of watching episodic things unless it's like Grey's Anatomy or 911.
Shows I like.
No, it's not that. It shows that I don't have to, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Whereas like I have grown up watching Grey's Anatomy weekly and stuff like that. Whereas the other TV shows that come out now, I don't have to watch them episode by episode. I can watch the whole thing in an afternoon.
Hmm. But we'll update you once we've watched it.
Yeah.
So next we have Screen Wiper, who says, no idea what Mary's talking about at 59 seconds, but here in the UK, Razzle is or was a pornographic magazine. It was everywhere in the 90s. Not sure if it's still around now, though. Let's do some research.
So Razzles were like sour sweets candies.
So very similar then.
Chewy, but not
Very similar.
bubble gum. I don't know what Razzle the pornographic magazine is, but
No.
good for them. Good for them.
Next, we have Teo Jones, who says, as a huge noir fan, I love this episode. Harvey Bullock is one of my favourite Batman supporting characters, and I love his banter with Batman. They may not like each other, but you know there's a begrudging respect between the two men. The twist of who the true culprit was really surprised me. It shows how unlikable Harvey can be to everyone except maybe Gordon, and this shows the consequences of his attitude. The lesson in this episode is that the obvious culprit is not always the true culprit, and you must learn to respect people because they will always remember your actions for better or worse. In Harvey's case, it was the worse. There were loads of PSA messages in the 80s cartoons. One good example was an episode of Brave Star. I used to like Brave Star quite a lot, actually, where a young boy became addicted to drugs and died of an overdose. They actually showed his dead body at the end of the episode. Sometimes 80s cartoons were pretty bold. Comfort and Joy was a Justice League episode, not an Unlimited episode. Oh, sorry, did I say Unlimited? Shame. Handing in my badge and gun after this recording.
I'll make sure.
Next, we have Doc Widener, who says, thank goodness you're here. Mary mismarpling Luke to get a confession for his crimes of purchasing passion. Yeah, or she just looks at the eBay account. I don't know.
I don't know. I have my own eBay account, and I don't actually look. I am the type of wife that I don't look at his bank statements. I don't look at his accounts or anything. We share an Amazon, and I look at my order history just to see when it's supposed to arrive, and to complain about the Amazon drivers if I need to, which is rare. Um, but I don't I don't snoop on your purchases because I usually answer the door.
Mm-hmm. So to continue the comments, we have Doc Widener, who says, I don't think you two have gotten to Kite Man yet. That's another thing I need to watch. But while I still think you should watch, I think both of you would enjoy and have a lot to say about Creature Commandos. In some ways, they are taking the B-test technique of taking multiple iterations of one character and distilling it to a really good, the best version of the character. By the way, I'm not asking you guys to give it the Penguin treatment. I would just like to hear some general thoughts. The bat signal thing reminds me of a collection of some Legends of the Dark Knight issues called Gothic, yes, where some mobsters facing a supernatural threat, they couldn't handle summon Batman with an upside-down bat signal they built. Suffice it to say, Batman was not pleased with this method of summoning him. I do love who the villain turns out to be. He could turn out to be a cleaning version of the Clock King. Perhaps he should get an invite to your party. He might do a nice job of cleaning up afterwards. Or he'll go crazy when he sees all the mess on the table and try and shoot us. I don't think any of your other guests would bring his homicidal side out. Well, just the mess might do. I am planning to make some more apple pie today using the extra apples from Thanksgiving. I agree with Big Mikey P, enjoying the Disney afternoon, particularly Darkwing Duck. Haven't gotten to the reboots, but I love me some David Tennant, so it's on the to watch list. Station wagons, had them growing up, and we and the in-laws had similar models. We got ours lost 9/11 when they had a deal for 0% loans for 36 months. Oh, I see. We rolled our Saturn sedan loan into it, which made it a huge payment. After 3 years, we owed nothing on our cars, and they lasted us for almost a decade.
They don't make cars like the way they used to. My watch apparently agrees. But I remember my mom had this, it was like a champagne colored Oldsmobile. It was the size of a small home.
Mm.
And that car, if something would break down, they would fix it. And oh my god, I think that's the car they had the longest. And I just, when I think of my mother's cars, that's what I think of. And it lasted so damn long. I'm so passionate. I'm throwing, my watch is going off. My Diet Coke's going everywhere. Like that damn Oldsmobile.
To continue the comment, my mother-in-law, out of, according to my wife, jealousy, got theirs within a few weeks of us. While we had the Ford Taurus wagon, they had the Mercury Sable, pretty much the same vehicle, except they had leather seats and we went with the CD option. Both were tan. Mary mentioned they all look alike, and I get that, and I see the same thing with minivans. I feel like most are some shade of grey with the occasional maroon, white, or black. Sergey loved the station wagon because if we didn't have the stuff in the back, he could have a third row of rear facing seating.
Oh my god, I think I've just Googled the Mercury station wagon and I think that's the one. I'm gonna have to talk to my brother about this, but I think that is the one that my mom had.
That's the car the Joker drove in the Joker's favour.
Oh my god, I think it is. That is insanity. The wood trim is life.
I loved the same thing in my parents' old Chevy Malibu station wagon. Movie tie-in, there is a Taurus Sable wagon in the Incredible Hulk film from 2008. It was blink and you'll miss it during the battle in Harlem. I knew it was practical and not CGI because the power antenna was slightly bent and did not go all the way down. That happened to our vehicle and the in-laws and seemingly every one of those vehicles that was more than a few years old. I saw it all the time in the real world, and the inclusion in the film made me smile. Got a 4-hour test for work on Thursday. Required to keep my level of access. Open book, but it's but it is 5 books and around 100 questions. So a good index is key. Did online training courses all this past week. Have a couple of practice exams I need to get in before the test to make sure the index is good. Did it 4 years ago, so it's not all new. But there have been updates since the last test. Requires 73% to pass, but once that is done, I'm on leave until the New Year's. Well, hope you enjoy your break
Yeah.
and the tests went well.
I know they're gonna go well, and you're gonna ace it, and you're gonna have a wonderful time off with the kids.
Next, we have Ryan Jones, who says, "Thank you, Luke and Mary, for the kind words you say to me. And it's made me feel so happy. And you're right, Mary. I should never feel like I'm a bad person for liking something that's not a good person in it. Um, just then, I was on holiday. I overheard some people talking about it and making sick jokes about what he did to a young man, and it made me feel so sad. Now, about Bullet for Bullock, my favourite part of the episode is this jazz music because I love jazz. And at the end, when Batman says to Bullock, "Forget Bullock, you've got enough problems." Also, I wish that Harvey Bullock name was Harry Bullock because it sounds very funny. Also, his apartment is filthy. I'm just surprised that Niven didn't just burn the building down when nobody's there and collect the insurance money. I forgot to say in the last episode that I'm sorry for you, Luke, that someone bullied you for liking something. Don't worry. People can't bully me. They might try, but I'll just be nastier back, and it shocks them. I lost my place in the comment. Where was I? I've been bullied for my interests too, so I know what that feels like. Also, Luke, what would you feel if DC Animation did a version of Deadpool and Wolverine but Batman? The story would have to be Batman from DCAU, also known as the Lord Batman of the Batman Council, and the Batman from the Harley Quinn universe, also known as the worst Batman morally wise, uses this to bring back Martha and Thomas Wayne from the dead in every universe, and Batman Council, with the help of Red Hood from under the Red Hood universe, will have to stop him. Fun fact, did you know that Season 1 of Justice League and Season 1 of Totally Spies both came out in November 2001? I did not know that.
I never watched Totally Spies, but I've heard so many people, and I'm not even exaggerating, so many people actually say it was really good.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. I
And Kim
can't.
Possible. Sorry.
Kim, I mix up Totally Spies and Kim Possible in my head. I'll have to actually look at it to see if I can actually remember what that. Oh, I think I remember that show. I think I do.
I only remember what she looks like. I didn't watch it because I think that was on Cartoon Network, maybe? I can't remember what it was on, but it was on I probably was watching something not age appropriate.
I was say watching the Razzle channel.
Actually, if it was around the time Justice League came out, I was probably in my CNN era because I had started journalism in my junior high, and I was like, I am a journalist. I wasn't going to be a journalist. I was a journalist. And September 11th had happened, and I was like, this is my life. And I only remember about a month of that, and then I was like, I don't care.
And look at you now.
I know. Two podcasts.
Yeah, and a monthly video. What?
And a monthly video.
Yeah, you do a video once a month.
Yeah.
Anyway, next we have Harry Flew TV, who says, Happy holidays, you two. Hope you have a great week. That was a nice short comment. Thank you, Harry. Hope you have a good Christmas break too. We have Michael Dolan next, who says, I've always thought that Bullock's admission of bending the rules wasn't completely about being unnecessarily rough with suspects, as demonstrated by his breaking, entering, and searching of Summer Gleason's office. Harvey seems to be a big proponent of the attitude of do it, it's easier to get forgiveness than permission. I imagine that it's happened more than once that Bullock hasn't waited for judge approval before starting a raid, as he figures that as long as the warrant is signed, before he gets back to the station with the perp in the headlock, everything's fine. Don't even ask if he's filled out the required forms to account for every round fired from his sidearm. Dotting the T's and crossing the I's on the paperwork is for nerds. Yes, that's totally Harvey Bullock. I'm not sure why the producers thought audiences would get confused if two characters were named Harvey. I'm sure everyone knows at least two people with the same first name. I'm one of two Mikes at my office, and I think there's a third Mike I've never met working in the field crew. Mostly we're distinguished as Mike S or Mike D, or upstairs and downstairs Mike. I suggest that we could call the other fellow New Mike, and I could be Stormageddon, Dark Lord of all, but the boss didn't go for it.
Try being named Mary in the 90s. Everybody was named Mary.
My office is in the basement under the salon next door, so I've always got an underground layer, so why not let me be the Dark Lord? Yeah, I know, right? Fits perfectly. I nearly said pits perfectly then. A bit of spoonerism. As for Nivens getting eaten alive by the rogues in Arkham Asylum, I don't know. I wouldn't be at all surprised if the Joker thought it would be funny to completely break him down psychologically and remold him as some sort of architecture-obsessed supervillain, like he did to Harley and the Condiment King. When he's not plotting revenge on Bullock, I can easily see him committing crimes against any who dare violate the Gotham City building code. Big Mikey P's anime recommendations have me thinking. I haven't really paid attention to anime since Cowboy Bebop, when I was in high school back in the 80s. My friends and I were heavily into Bubblegum Crisis, along with its sequel Bubblegum Crash and prequel AD Police. And back when I was a young and I was hooked on Star Blazers and an Americanization of Battleship Yamato and Robotech, three completely unrelated series: Super Dimensional Fortress Macross, Super Dimensional Cavalry Southern Cross, and Genesis Climbers Mospeda, edited together into an English version that treated them as three generations of the same epic saga. That pretty much explains my taste in anime. If there isn't space combat staged with World War II naval and aerial battles, or giant robots portrayed as tanks with legs instead of colourful ninjas using skyscrapers as wrestling turnbuckles, it's hard to rouse my interest. you'd probably enjoy Big O. The art style and overall atmosphere are heavily inspired by BTAS, and the hero and his faithful manservant look like anime-fied Bruce Wayne and Alfred. Visually stunning, but it left me confused quite often. Maybe it might make more sense to me if I watched the whole thing from beginning to end rather than catching random episodes out of order, I suspect. Do let me know how you find it. You're not the first person to recommend it, and I looked at a trailer for it and immediately thought, no, that's not for me. Partly because I am a bit of a snob when it comes to like animation quality. I mean, I thought it was fine, but I didn't really like the art style very much. I thought it was kind of generic looking. And the thing that if it's not abundantly clear, the thing I love about the DC animated universe shows is it's not just the great art, it's not just the great music, it's not just the great scripts and the great performances. It's all four of them together. And as soon as one of those things falls away, I am less interested. It's kind of why I'm not that interested in the Batman. I thought the music was fine, the scripts were fine, the performances were good, the art style, take it or leave it. Doesn't mean it's bad, it just means that it hasn't captured my imagination. I've actually found myself getting more into Beware the Batman recently. Because I've done a Two-Face comparison video looking at all the different animated Two-Faces and had to watch a big chunk of Beware the Batman. And I was like, no, I'm going to keep watching this, even though Two-Face isn't in it. Let's go back and watch some more episodes. Anyway, I've rambled enough. We have one final comment, which is Screen Wiper returning to provide.
Is this the comment I've been waiting for?
It could very well be his chicken news.
Yes.
We should probably make like a little jingle to play with like chicken clucking.
Yeah.
Maybe I could just get the music from Batman the Animated Series for like the news, and just play some chicken clucking over the top. That'd probably be hideous.
I mean, obviously because I'm a journalist.
Yeah.
Obviously. CNN, watch out.
Coming for you. Right, next. So chicken news from Screen Wiper, who says Wilma was beginning to molt quite badly by the time the pack went on holiday. They did not enjoy the journey, but at least they had know that the dog was sniffing around the car boot for them from the back seat. I think there's a typo there, but it doesn't matter. Their living quarters, a hutch in a paddock, were about a sixth the size of their aviary, and they had no apparatus to climb on, but they still loved it anyway because it had a lot of grass. Doris and Mabel had never seen grass before, and they enjoyed themselves in there. In the paddock next door was a pack of alpacas. One of them was a goth, had black fur, and she gave me a kiss. Her name was Oreo. She was very sweet.
Alpacas are cute.
I was worried the hens would get bored, frustrated, and worried they'd never see home again. But when I picked them back up, though they were pleased to see me, they didn't want to leave the grass. They also didn't want another long car journey. I might have to get some turf put down in your backyard somehow. They were also put on a special diet to deworm them. They don't have worms, I just want it to stay that way.
Yeah.
This diet had to continue when they got back until all of the Meds lace food was gone. Over a week of eating hardly anything but laced pellets and mush made from lace pellets, the mush proved to be the best way to get it down them. I used different herbs and spices and different portions of mush through the day to keep it interesting for them. Same day they ate the last of their food, Betty started seeming a bit off. Pooh Bum, walking a bit funny, and her crop was emptying very slowly. Could be nothing, but could be something serious that'd have me euthanizing her by the new year, such as a big tumour blocking her digestive tract. With how good she has been looking after the other hens while Wilma's out of sorts, adjusting to the hormones, it would be a tragedy to lose her now. She's been really useful, the pack need her. I force-fed her some apple cider vinegar in case it was some stubborn food blocking that way that needed dissolving by acid. That seemed to help a bit. Then I gave her some seeds, and she just needed some solid roughage after 9 days of little but pellets and mush. She loved that. Then she went into the coop during the day. Weird, hens normally only do that if laying eggs, but illness or fear might cause it too. She came out again soon after, and I checked to see if she had if she had anything come out of her. It had a massive F-off egg. I was expecting her hormones to wear off by now. The egg also explained why her gut seemed blocked, walking a bit oddly, etc. Ruled out peritonitis too, but also confirmed she's at risk of getting it again. The egg was good quality thanks to all that mush, I believe extra minerals in it, but it won't be long before they get thin shelled and soft shelled and break into her and cause peritonitis. So off she went to the vet. He found no evidence of any illness, complimented me on how beautiful her feathers look these days. She's like a fluffy red cloud.
No.
And gave her a hormone jab. Hopefully they'll stop her making eggs before they get dangerous. Sadly, I cannot the giant egg she laid. I can't eat the giant egg she laid, as it left traces of deworming meds in it. I'm allowed to have worms if I want. Betty is also the biggest and heaviest she's ever been, bigger than the average weight of the big one, a massive hen from a previous generation, and almost as heavy as the big one's peak weight. Wilma's spikes are turning into new feathers now. Looks like she's going to be a brown rather than blonde. Betty used to be amber-coloured like Doris, but her face is so different to Mabel, who is also brown, that should get confused. She's pulling feathers out of everyone else's bums and eating them for the nutrients to grow her own back. Not allowed. She'll get brigged if she carried on like that. So far, she stops if I tell her off. Doris has kept laying eggs, which I was feeding back to the hens during their diet. Mabel has quit laying eggs, at least for the winter, it seems. Lazy. But she's also very well behaved. Only one who's never been told off or punished, so if she wants a break, she can have one. Wilma's trying to sleep outside again at night. There shouldn't be mites in there. I gave the place a total bedding change this week. No evidence of mites found then. Put mite poison down anyway. Changed out most of the bedding again today. Wilma's still being weird. She can tell me she doesn't like the coop right now, but cannot articulate why. Maybe we'll know what's up by the next episode. And that's the end of the chicken update and the last of the comments.
We love the Chacons. So, what is the next episode about?
The DCAU's potential greatest dad,
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner James Gordon. So yeah, let's talk about some Commissioner James Gordon themed episodes and how he is or is not potentially the greatest dad.
And I wanted to say this right now because I don't think we're going to do another episode until the new year. I hope all of you have a happy new year and a Merry Christmas. And I appreciate all of you because of all of the things you've done for me, whether you know it or not. And you deserve the kindness and the greatness that anybody could give you. I love you guys.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Take care.